Good evening. The regular meeting of the Hazel Park Board of Education, April 17th, 2017 meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
No.
Here.
Hinton. Here. Mr. Hempel. Here. Hammonds. Atkins.
Here.
Mrs. Hempel. Here. Schlock.
Here.
Moves us on to the invocation. Please stand. Mr. Pastor Barry David with Landmark Community Church will deliver the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance will follow.
Let us pray. Father, during this resurrection season, we thank you for the remarkable resurrection of our school district. Thank you for the courageous leadership of our superintendent, her staff, and our Board of Education. We are grateful for the heroes in the classroom, our teachers who are diligent in their responsibilities. We thank you, Father, for the scholar athletes that this year have turned in an amazing school accomplishments. Continue to give us peace in the schools. Provide protection for our students and teachers. Keep us as the apple of the eye. Hide us neath the shadow of your wings. For these proceedings tonight, we ask for patience and unity. May you give wisdom beyond our knowledge in all discussions. May all that is accomplished be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moves us on to the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Schlock.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
No.
Yes. We have quite a few numbers of special order business tonight. Item A is our recognition of the Winter Scholar student athletes. Dr. Krupe, would you like us to go?
If you could all join us up here, and we'll be turning this over to Dr. Mylart, our athletic director.
Good evening. I am happy to announce that we have several teams here tonight, and I'm looking for the leader of our dance programs, Miss Lisa Bean and Shannon Strong-Jones. If they could both come up to the front here as they call up their teams and announce their individuals with the highlights from their incredible seasons.
Hi everyone. So we want to start with the Starlets, our youngest elementary team. So at Nationals this past weekend, they received the highest scores of their season, receiving a high superior rating in all three of the routines. If I can have Coach Allie and Coach Kayla come up, and all of the Starlets please stand, and we will announce you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Coach Kayla,
I'm Coach Allie.
and we're the coaches of the Hazel Park Starlets and the Hazel Park Hazelets. With the Starlets tonight, we have Angel, we have Alyssa Dean, we have Alyssa Cochran, Chloe, I see Jaden over there. We have one way in the back, that's Autumn, Jordan, Kaylee, and Riley. So those are all of our Starlets that we have present this evening.
And Starlets, you can take a seat. Moving on to our Hazelets, our next elementary team. They received an ultimate star in 3 routines and a high superior rating in 2 routines. They also took home a bronze medal for their hip hop routine. And in their lyrical category, they are the national champions. And they also received a special award for amazing choreography. So if we can please have the Hazelets who are here tonight stand up.
Okay, so once again, I'm Coach Allie. We have our captain in the back, Nicole. Beside him, we have our only boy, Christian. We have April, Meglin, which is our co-captain, or which is our lieutenant, I'm sorry. We have Hannah in the back. We have Mackenzie, which is our co-captain, and we have Riley. Did I miss anybody?
And next is our junior high team, the Parkerettes. They received an ultimate star rating in 4 routines, a high superior rating in 2 routines. They did make it to the best of the best category in their POM routine and brought home a bronze medal. They also received a silver medal in their officer routine. If the Parkerettes who are here could please stand up. And their coach, Amanda, could not be here.
Amanda McChrystal was their coach, and she was not able to attend tonight. She's been coaching them for 3 years, and they made it best to best last year, and this year they did even better. So we're pretty proud of that.
And the dancers who are present, we have Captain Chloe Heron, Co-Captain Kayla Alcative, Brooklyn Weiss, Kendall Voss, and Rebecca Atkins. And Leah. Is that all the Parkerettes? And Kendall, if we didn't hear it. I thought I said it. Sorry. Okay. And then lastly, we have our Buckets, our high school team, who brought home an ultimate star rating in 2 routines and a high superior in 3 routines, and also made it to the best of the best category in their hip hop routine. And any Buckets here tonight, please stand up. We have our co-captain in the back, Monica Bean. And we also have Faith LaFramboise. And I wanted to real quickly mention we did have some soloists compete at nationals. We had our captain of our Starlets compete, Riley Adams, who received a high superior rating and was also invited to make a special performance for the captain of the year, which she received a nomination previously at our competition. We also had one Hazelette compete as a soloist. We have Mackenzie Feltner, who also received a high superior rating. We had 4 juniors. Chloe Heron received an ultimate star rating for her solo. Kayla Aklativ also received the ultimate star. She placed 6th out of 18 dancers and was also invited to perform as a dancer of the day, which she was awarded previously in the season. Brooklyn Weiss also received a high superior rating for her solo. And then our last junior was Ali Koshiba, I believe how it's pronounced, also received a high superior rating for her solo. We had one Bikette compete as a soloist. Morgan Payne is our captain. She received a Showcase Star rating, which is the highest rating you can receive at competition. She placed 3rd overall for the senior solos. She also received an Amazing Choreography Award and was invited to make the performance for Dancer of the Day, again, that she was received previously in the year. So that is it for our dance teams.
Thank you, coaches. And parents, we thank you for allowing your children to participate in our dance program that we have here within the school district. I believe we have some other dancers that are members of our school district. Certainly. All of the girls that are part of the dance program, if we could just come through, form a line over here. And boy, yes.
You gotta stand on the street for a second.
We also have members of the Macomb Community Dance Team that are district students. They attend Hazel Park schools, and they also performed at the same national competition in Kentucky and received several honors as well. Is anybody here from that organization? No dancers. Well, we wish them well in their success also. Moving on, I'm going to ask Coach Melissa Herzig from the varsity competitive cheer team to come up, and all members that are present from the varsity competitive cheer team to please come and step forward in front.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I am the varsity competitive cheer coach. I've been coaching for 20 years, and this is my 6th year at Hazel Park. Excuse me. I'm really sorry I wasn't very prepared to speak, but unfortunately my girls weren't able to make it tonight. All of them are either playing spring sports or starting summer jobs, so I'm here to represent for them. Want to say we had an amazing season this year, and I'm so proud of the girls. We brought home for the first time in 9 years a league championship title. Amongst that, probably one of the smartest teams I've ever had in my 20 years of coaching. And I am so proud to say, out of 17 girls, 11 of them were OAA Scholar athletes. 7 of the girls received an academic all-state award, which means they have an overall GPA of a 3.8 or higher. And our full team received honorable mention academic all-state honors with a team overall GPA of a 3.15. Which is amazing. And I believe that's about it.
My name is Alyssa like Vanessa.
I love it.
Could you stay for 1 second? I also would like to acknowledge Coach Melissa was awarded District Coach of the Year honors by her peers. And it's been a long time since one of our coaches here at Hazel Park in any sport has been recognized with that distinction. So we congratulate her and her team. She has a very young team. She's only losing nobody. Okay, so they better bring home another championship. Okay. Unless I the board would like to, if you all shake their hands. Thank you, Coach Melissa. Varsity boys basketball and coaching staff, please step forward. Never too shy at school. Keep coming now. Do you have me, you and Mark? You can go up with the boys. Coach Brandon Barrett.
Good evening. Today we weren't able to bring all the guys out. Some of them are playing, getting ready for travel season. But we were able to bring out 3 guys. First in the burgundy is Kyle Washington. He's a junior. Second is Kyrie Adams. He's a junior. And third is Julian Jones. He's also a junior. So they will be returning. And our coaches, Jimmy Twyman and Mark Hackshaw. What can I say about the team this year? Extremely proud of the guys. I mean, they put in so much work to just bring a team that's very competitive and something that the community and the school can be proud of. So they just, I can't say enough about them. Everything I've asked them to do, they've done it triple time. So we also have 2 boys who are All-State. Carl Bo Jr. was named to the first team All-State, and Dave Hearn was named to the 3rd team All-State. So we do return a very, very, very good competitive team, and this year we won our first district in quite some time, and 51, wow, very long time. We also won the league again for the 2nd time, and we are now currently at the top. So keep your fingers crossed. We got a tough schedule next year, but we hope to come back and do the same thing even more, maybe bring a state championship to Hazel Park. So thank you.
Varsity girls basketball. This year, our girls varsity basketball team made a complete turnaround. They've only won 3 games in the last 3 years. This year, they were 14-7. They made it to the district final game where they lost to Mumford High School in a close and tight game. They were led by Mr. Chris Shrout, who's also a social studies teacher at the high school. And we had 5 girls make the OAA Scholar Athlete team. Trinity Benton, Jace Larkins, Kathleen Robinson, Megan Slabiak, and Liz Sterner. Unfortunately, most of our athletes can't make it tonight because they're playing spring sports, so we have contests. So that's why not many are here tonight. I have, next up is our boys swimming team with their coach, Lou Lindholm.
Yeah, this year we had a small team. We only had 9 guys on the team, but 4 out of the 9 made the OAA Scholar Athletes Award. First was Randy Carlson, Elian DeKach, William Franks, and Isaac Fresh, all 4 of which I guess are playing baseball, track, whatever tonight, so they're not here. But they were good swimmers and they did well. Thank you.
We had 2 wrestlers that made the OAA Scholar Athlete credentials, Blake Terry and then Joe Ishu. Joe also finished 3rd in the OAA championship meet. He was a district finalist and a regional finalist that competed in the state finals at the Palace. So we're looking forward to watching Joe next year as well in his senior season. Mr. Brodsky, varsity bowling.
Good evening. I don't like these things. You can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. I can't see a thing, but I can hear fine.
We need you on the mic anyway. Yeah.
Oh, fine. Oh, that's a connected thing. I knew that. Okay. Well, I was really happy. Sorry. I was really happy this year with the bowlers because we had over 30 bowlers, which is a very large team in Oakland County, and a lot of new faces, freshmen, sophomores. And when you get better in bowling, you know it pretty quickly. So I was very happy for these guys. And we happen to get some super smart kids as well, because none of them are here because they're all actually either studying or work or another sport, honest to God. That's what they told me. I just can't go. I got to work. I got to study. Okay, fine. So that's the way it goes. But anyway, I'll announce them. Really good kids. I have Ryan Drew, Zachary Sawtell, Haley Beverlin. Oh, I'm sorry. Haley's actually here. She's right here. Abby Brackett, and 2 of that were also on Sarah Statura and Haley Matlick, most of whom are 3.75 to 4.0 students. So they're good nerds and good athletes. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We'll just wait one little second, let everyone.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Thank you.
Are you guys done with your packets? Your manila folders? I will do it now. Thank you. All right, we're gonna let everyone kind of settle in here.
We did what we did, so I can't say we're
All right. Next is the Michigan College Access Network presentation. Is that fantastic?
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Brandy Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan College Access Network. Thanks so much for inviting me to your community this evening. The Michigan College Access Network is a statewide nonprofit intermediary organization headquartered in Lansing. We are just about 7 years old. Our mission is to increase college readiness, enrollment, and completion rates in Michigan, particularly among low-income students, first-generation college-going students, and students of color. We've adopted a big goal of reaching a higher education attainment rate of 60% among Michigan adults by the year 2025.
Wow.
We define college as the attainment of a credential beyond a high school diploma, whether it be a technical certificate or any kind of college degree. We know that college is a necessity, college is for everyone, and college is a public good. I come to you this evening to recreate an award that was given on the evening of March 13th, just last month. Each year, the Michigan College Access Network honors organizations and individuals whose efforts have gone above and beyond to improve post-secondary attainment. We give out 8 awards, and we recognize the individuals and the organizations that have had the most tremendous impact on increasing college readiness, participation, and completion in Michigan, particularly among low-income and first-generation students and students of color. We use these awards to not only bring positive attention to the great work happening across the state, but to really provide exemplars for the other communities in the state to aspire to. So I'm really pleased to announce that this year the Cardinal Award went to Hazel Park High School. The Cardinal Award recognizes organizations that have successfully rallied a whole community to achieve impact, and that certainly defines Hazel Park High School. Specifically, the award description read, "Boosting the college access activity in communities on the ground level helps drive the state toward our big goal, 60% by 2025. By promoting campaigns that urge students, parents, school staff, and citizens to take direct action helps create a sense of urgency around the post-secondary planning process. And the recipient of this award is an individual or an organization that has advanced the college-going culture through significant investment in the statewide campaigns that MCAN promotes." So like I mentioned, this award was given on March 13th. Kayla Roney Smith from Hazel Park accepted the award. We specifically recognized Hazel Park's High School's long-term commitment to increasing college-going behaviors through College Application Week, College Cash Campaign, which is a FAFSA completion effort, as well as College Decision Day. And Hazel Park High School has been doing these campaigns since we, as a statewide organization, launched them 6 years ago. In addition, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the highly successful Hazel Park Promise Zone, which has ensured a strong partnership between community and school efforts to support students. They've also been long-term partners in our effort to increase the number and quality of high school counselors and advisors in their movement. They have hosted an MSU college advisor since the launch of the program, which is actually how Kayla Roney Kayla Roney Smith joined the Hazel Park community. They've had, not only have they participated in the campaigns, but the data speaks for itself. They've had incredibly strong momentum in increasing their college readiness rates and the high school's college enrollment rate. It's something that all high schools truly strive for, and we've recognized them with multiple grant awards in addition to this beautiful trophy, which is the Cardinal Award. So I'd like to present this to Principal Daly from Hazel Park High School and see if he has any additional words. Thank you.
It's a real privilege and an honor to be able to represent our staff and the people that have continued this long-going tradition of college-going and career excellence in our building. I'd be remiss without recognizing the work that Ms. Kayla Roney Smith has done to establish a college-going culture in our building, as well as the work that our faculty do at supporting that effort and making college not just something that we talk about to aspire towards, but a dream to live into. So it's very humbling to accept this award on our building's behalf and on all the tireless work that our faculty and staff do on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thanks again and best wishes.
Thank you. Before we move on to our last item under special order of business, I'd like to remind the audience to fill out one of the slips of paper on the counter and turn it in. Mrs. Scott is going to be picking that up for public comment. Moves us on to item E, our NWEA data. Ms. Dolmich. Hello. No.
We're not worried about it. I'll talk loud.
The mic at the stand does work.
So, good evening again. Thank
Good
you for
evening.
giving me. We'll try. The third time has to be a charm. Giving me an opportunity to come and talk about data. I know it's winter data. We certainly were going to do this a little bit earlier, but it had to be postponed. But nonetheless, we're bringing that data to you. So I thought before we got into the data that we'd reflect on these two pieces, because I think it's really important in terms of what we're doing here and the bigger picture of the changes that are happening in Hazel Park and the goal of really making good decisions based on data. So basically, when we use data to make differences, we can transform our instruction and our impact. And I think if you really reflect on what's going on in Hazel Park, that is exactly what we're doing. We are collecting data, we are having conversations, we're digging deep, we're taking action, and we're moving forward. And the second piece is student growth starts with us and our ability to access, analyze, and respond to data. And I think you'll see as we go through this presentation that there are many instances of looking at data, accessing, analyzing, and responding to that. So the first thing that I'd like to do is talk about something that's very familiar to many of you, which is a RIT score. And a RIT score is just what NWEA measures their growth in. And basically, you can see that in most cases, we have our schools along the bottom: Advantage, Edison, Hazel Park, Hoover, United Oaks, Webb, and Invest. This year we started testing Invest students, so that's why that's represented. And in most cases, our RIT scores went up, which is a really positive thing. Certainly we don't want any trending down, we want them going up. So you can see that there's an upward trend. The red trend line is reading, or a blue trend line is reading, and the red trend line is math. This basically shows RIT scores and talks about our different subpopulations of our Black or African American students, our Hispanic or Latino, our white, and our other. A really positive thing for Hazel Park that you don't often see in a district is that in every one of our subpopulations, we have trending up. And that is not often what you see. That is a real testament to the fact that we look at every student, we take action for every student, and we value what every student needs. So that's a definite positive trend for Hazel Park. This just breaks it down a little bit further by grade level. As you can see, we have our kindergarten students, fall to winter, our first grade students, our second, our third, and our fourth. And in general, again, we see an upward trend. You do notice a little bit more of an upward trend in our lower elementary, which is what we predicted, because as we've talked about for the past year and a half, 2 years, there's been a lot of concentrated effort on providing strong foundations with our K-2 students, building the Title I support up, and really starting with our rewriting of our curriculum at the elementary, because we know that strong foundation in early elementary is going to really run throughout our K-12 system. And then moving on up, we have grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and 8. And if you look, we see even our grade 5, 6, 7, and 8, we're actually seeing trend lines even more on a more upward trend than we did with the K-4. So again, those are the RIT scores. We would expect those to go up. The next thing that I'm going to show you is percentiles. And sometimes percentiles give us a little bit different view. This is really just showing the score started here and the score went up. When we go into percentiles, you're going to see a little bit different trend. That's not necessarily a bad thing because we have to really couch this in our picture. So the next thing that we're going to see is really measuring us against national norms. We know there are growth areas for our students. So when you see the percentiles, you're going to notice somewhat of a downward trend. But it's also important to note that in general, winter NWA scores, you'll see a little bit of a dip. Because remember, when we start to give this in January, there's still a lot of learning and a lot of foundational skills that are not in place that once we get to spring are more solidified. And so what happens is sometimes we see a little dip, which is what we saw, and then when we get back to spring, we see an upward trend. The percentiles, again, really talk about where we are positioned within the national norms. So if you notice here, again, our blue trend line is reading, our red trend line is math. Starting with our kindergarten students, this is actually a really positive place for our students to be in kindergarten. Because remember, when they walk into our schools, there can be great gaps between what one kindergartner looks like and another kindergartner looks like. And so for us to have a positive trend that does not dip down in the winter for our kindergarten students is really positive. And once again, we look at reading, staying strong. This is another nice growth with our math. That's a percentile. So again, that's ranking us, basically a certain percentile is we are doing better than 37% of students nationwide. So that's basically how you look at those percentiles. We notice a little bit of a dip in first grade with our reading. And once again, that is not something that's not unexpected at this time of the year. Again, once those first grade reading skills are solidified in the spring, we're going to see that trend line go up. Notice same thing, basically the same thing happened for our second grade, our third grade, and our fourth grade though. We notice a really nice jump here. And think about what happened last year. Again, there was this big push even starting last year to really shift what we were doing instructionally. And we see from third grade here all the way up to fourth grade. So again, a nice positive trend. Now again, when we look at this large data, I always like to caution people. When you look at average scores, we all know what an average means. You know, you could have a lot of kids really growing and doing pretty well, and you could have kids that have some more learning needs that are struggling. And when we put that together as an average, we know what that does. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw great gains in a number of our students. And what we noticed was, and you'll see a little bit later, we have some data showing information about students that met their growth goals. What we noticed this time, which was a big difference, was they not only met their growth goals, but the rate at which they exceeded or went beyond their growth goals was significantly more than in the past. So again, that just averages that they met their growth goals. This information doesn't show that, but there was a larger amount of growth beyond what the expected level was. And then we get into our upper grades. Nice positive upward trend in reading. Grade 5, grade 6, 7, and 8, as well as our 6th and 7th graders in math. So again, that is measuring us against the national norms. We know there's growth areas, and that's what this data is showing us. The next set of data are basically, so some of the conclusions that we can draw is that our students are showing more growth in reading as compared to math. We expected that. We've put a tremendous amount of work and effort into instructional coaching and curriculum rewriting and reading, and we expected that we would see those changes, and that's exactly what we saw. And we're reducing the gap between our subgroups, which is a really positive celebratory piece for Hazel Park. So this next portion is really talking about the percent of students meeting their growth targets. So again, the RIT score is just, here's the score in the fall, here's the new score in the winter, and so on in the spring. The percentiles ranking us in terms of where we do fall nationally, This is really looking at individual student growth, because as we've said all along, the positive power in NWA is that it really helps us not only have good information about what we're doing in our classrooms and the impact, but it also helps us really zero in on the personalization and customization and the needs of a particular student. And so once students take the fall NWA MAP test, they will get a projected growth score. And what this is showing the percentage of students who met their growth norms. This is really positive information. Again, we know we have gaps, but here we can see that yes, there's gaps, but kids are growing at the rate that they're expected to grow at. And that's basically what this is showing. So we start over here with our students in Advantage, and you can see, 54% of our students at Advantage met their growth goals in math. That's a really, really positive piece there. Then we move on to Edison. We have a little bit lower percentage, but we still have a lot of kids meeting their growth goals there. We move over to Hazel Park Junior High. We have some really positive numbers there. We have nearly 60% of our students in reading at Hazel Park Junior High meeting their growth goals. That is positive news that we really need to celebrate there. Then we get over into Hoover. We can see that again, once again, that reading piece, this is where our work's been, and you can see that that is what's bearing out in the data. And then we move on over to United Oaks, where we have 48%, Webb at 52%, and Invest at 56%. Again, Invest is new, but we did assess all grades 9 and 12 at Invest, and it's really making a positive impact for our Invest students, because prior to this, the teachers really didn't have good data that was common to respond to, and now they have, and we've seen some nice growth in that. So that's basically the percentage of students, based on their personal need, met their growth goals from the fall to the winter. And then, again, we have it split out with our ethnic groups, our subpopulation, race and ethnicity, or with our subpopulations. And once again, we see really great numbers, not a lot of disparity between the subgroups. Reducing gaps is a powerful piece of what we're doing. And then we go on into our grade levels again. So notice here, again, our kindergartners, this is critical. This is really powerful data. When we build strong kindergarten students, have strong literacy and numeracy skills, that's just going to have that domino trickle effect as we go up. So that's a really positive piece right there. Again, you can see in first grade obviously is an area that we need to focus on a little bit more, and that's what we are doing. We'll talk about the actions that have been taken after getting this data. We look at our second graders and our third graders and fourth graders, showing some real positive trends. Reading is definitely trending up. Impact of that curriculum rewriting. And then we have grades 5, grade 6, 7, and 8. And once again, look at our reading scores. The impact of the curriculum is really, really showing what we wanted it to show. And then we'll have an opportunity, as we are now starting to venture into the curriculum writing for math and social studies. So we will have those same results when we look forward to next year. This is a really, really positive piece that I think maybe shows a little bit more of the impact, because, reading is a pretty complex system. This language usage piece breaks things down a little bit further. So you can see there were really, really positive results here going on up. We have 40% of the students in language usage in third grade meeting their growth goals. Third grade, you'll see as we go throughout the presentation, was an area that we noticed that there was a little bit of a dip. We think there's a couple of reasons. Of course, we have to analyze the data and ask hard questions and continue to dig deep. But there are two big changes when we move from second grade MAP to third grade MAP. First of all, in second grade, most of the information is read to students. In third grade, it isn't. That's a big change. Another big piece, and this is just what it is that our students are used to using, especially at this time of the year, are used to using iPads and manipulating information on an iPad. Now all of a sudden, they're moving to a computer and they're having to manipulate a mouse and make decisions based on that, and that technical piece is a part of it. So we think there's a couple of reasons. And also, that's a big shift. There's a big change in the tests that they take. Our kindergarten through second graders take one type of test, and in third grade, we start to a higher level type of test. So I think it's important to understand when we look at third grade, it doesn't mean that everything's falling apart at third grade. It just means that we need to provide some different supports and interventions, and we as teachers need to have a better understanding and window into what we're doing. And you can see some really positive changes. Up here, we just continue to trend up. These are really positive percentages for language usage. And really, that goes back to that curriculum piece with reading, because all of the components of language with vocabulary and spelling and grammar and usage, those are all nested within that reading curriculum. So some conclusions that we might draw is that more than 50% of our students in grades 5 through 8 are meeting growth goals in reading. That's a big celebration. Overall, students in grades 2 through 8 are meeting reading growth goals at a higher rate than math, to be expected, celebrated as well because curriculum is making a difference. And there's a significant increase in performance on language usage in the vocabulary and grammar and spelling areas. Another thing that we really wanted to look at is we have put a lot of interventions in place. As I said earlier, we have a tremendous amount of Title I teachers put in place, especially at our elementary, but also at our middle school, to really address the needs of our learners. And you're going to see that there were some really positive changes for our students. Remember, when we look at this data, most of our students, actually, many of them aren't even in Tier 2. Most of the students that are up here are in Tier 3 interventions, and that would mean those are the students that have the greatest gaps. The positive news is they made a lot of growth, even though they're the students that have the greatest gaps. And our interventions are making a difference. So when we look over here, this represents Hazel Park Junior High, and this is an intervention called Read Naturally. It is a Tier 3 intervention. Again, another really big positive piece is that some of these students have had gaps maybe since kindergarten. And so we have them, our sixth graders, look at that. We have 77.4% of them meeting their expected growth goals based on having this positive intervention. We have 73% of our 7th graders and 51% of our 8th graders. That is significant. Again, meeting their growth goals. We can't expect kids to grow well beyond their growth goals. I mean, there's going to be a limit. We want acceleration, certainly, but if they're meeting their growth goals, that's exactly what we'd expect. This right here shows a math intervention piece right here. So again, our 6th graders a little bit less, but still making good progress. And again, these are our students at most risk. Our 7th graders and our 8th graders really showing positive pieces there, much beyond that 50% that we saw even earlier. And this basically here is another Tier 3 intervention group. Yeah. So that other one was Tier 2, and this is Tier 3. So again, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Look at our 7th graders. 80% of them meeting their growth goals. Those are some big celebrations that we need to really think about and really dig deep on, because we know we're making a difference. And over time, those gaps are just going to continue to close. Moving into our lower elementary, this is a reading mastery intervention. These are all Tier 3 interventions, and we're seeing some positive trends in K1 and 2. Again, we don't see as many areas of growth as we did in our older students, but again, these are children that may have come to school with no literacy skills. Many of them might not have even picked up books or looked at new letters and things like that. And so when we see a positive impact from interventions, it's really something to be celebrating. And then this is our math right here, again. Moving on to United Oaks, here's our reading mastery intervention. Similar results at K1 and 2. This is showing our math intervention at United Oaks. We have a really nice spike in our 1st graders at United Oaks. And then we have our Webb Elementary. This is our reading mastery intervention. And then we have Webb. They really only have a few students in this, so that's why the graph is big. We don't have any kids in other interventions. Right there, 2nd grade, 60% of our 2nd graders meeting their growth goals. And this is our math. Again, here's where that kindergarten math group is, really performing well. So some conclusions that we can draw, and something that we need to think about as we move forward, is that Read Naturally, Touch Math, and Math 180 are having a significant impact on the student growth at Hazel Park Junior High. The majority of our K2 students are in Tier 3 intervention groups, which I mentioned, and that's important. And many of our K2 students receiving reading mastery and touch math interventions are making expected levels of growth. The next thing that we tried to do was we really wanted to look at things over time, because that's a really significant piece. And what this does is looks at what we call cohort data. So basically what it would do is it would take, for example, our third graders last year and look at them, what their performance was last year as third graders and what their performance is this year as fourth graders. So that's what this data represents. We're not even going to look at the numbers, but anybody who has a presentation, if you want to look closer, you can. What I really like to draw your attention to is the graph below because it really summarizes it and it's easier to look at. So when you look at that diamond, the diamond has represented the projected growth for the school norms. So that was just what was projected to happen. When you look at the bar, it shows what the actual observed growth is. What we really want to see is we want to see that diamond within the blue bar. That's really what we want to see. And you notice in some areas that we're seeing that. Our first graders, very, very close. This is really significant. We have seen over time in data analysis after data analysis that second grade is really doing well across the district. That's going back again. These kids have had these interventions for 2 years. Strong intervention work last year, moving up to strong intervention this year, strong curriculum being in place, we're seeing positive change. Remember what I talked about with third grade. This is evidence of that. Please know that every building administrator, every grade level team got that data and instead of just letting it sit there, responded to it immediately with questions. You know, what is the data showing us? Why is the data showing us? What can we do right now to take action and make an impact on students? And that's exactly what they're doing. And you see, again, positive on up. This is math. Again, we haven't spent as much effort in math as we have in reading, so we expected those results. When you get to reading, first grade, once again, second grade, here it is again. Over time, we know that those interventions are going to make a big impact, and we would expect to see our third graders change as well next year. So pretty much our math and our reading over time. Now remember, this is measuring their performance winter last year to the grade level they're in winter this year. And it's only measuring students that were here last year and students that were here this year. It takes out students that are new or students that left last year or students that are new this year. And then here's our language issues. This is outstanding. You know, if you look at that, really every single one of our grade levels is performing at a high rate. That is a huge area of growth. And again, it's really part of that curriculum work. I know I keep saying that, but I can't say that enough because it's really a powerful amount of work that people have put in, and we're seeing and reaping the benefits of that for our students. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because I know pretty soon your eyes are going to glaze over with the data. I can see the look starting to come right now. You're going, okay, stop right now. This actually, the original had like 60 slides. I cut it down. We've done a lot of data analysis, all good, but a lot of data analysis. So we as educators can really think and respond to it. So basically what this represents is we are looking at our students and from fall to winter, and I work closely with one of the consultants at Oakland Schools who does some data analysis, and I said to him, I said, we know we're going to have some students meeting the growth norms or at or above the RIT, but we know we're not going to see a ton of students, but we really need some data. So what I asked him to do is I said, how about if you get a category that kind of shows students that were within the range or near meeting growth? And then we have our students that are below. So that's what this represents. The blue bar represents students that are above the norm, and when we're talking about this is above the national norm. We're not talking about our own growth goals. We're not talking about our RIT score. We're talking about above the national norm. So here's our kindergarten students right here, and we see a really positive change here. So what we really want to see is we really want to see this blue bar going up, or we want to see the combination of our red and our blue, which is our above and our within range, the combination of those two higher than it was in the fall. And in most cases that happened. Now we do have some areas again where kids shifted over here, or kids might have fallen from meeting down into within the range. Again, we see that dip in the winter. We expected that to happen. When things are more solidified in the spring, which is actually upon us, we are NWA map testing in the next couple of weeks, so we'll have more data to bring to you. you'll see that change. So again, we can dig into this a little bit more. Our K1, 2 students, 3 and 4, is pretty consistent. We had some good strengths over here, but we did have some kids kind of drop down into our within range or our below range. This is math. I can't wait to get to reading. It shows a different story. So there's our math for our grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 again. Once again, we want this to be higher from fall to winter. So I'd like to move on to reading because you really see a big change there. So if we start to compare our kindergarten here, here's our kindergarten students. In the fall, 32% were in the above norm. In the winter, 34%. Over here, when you get into first grade, we have 34%, a little bit of a dip here, which we saw. And we saw a little bit of a dip in the winter as compared to fall, which we expected. But really, we see a nice amount of kids in this area. So they probably just dropped down a little bit. Remember, that could be 1 or 2 questions. When you're talking about data like this, sometimes it can mean 1 or 2 questions. When we look at our second graders, here we have a little bit of a dip, but really staying pretty consistent over time. When we get to grade 3, again, that was our area. We know it's an area of issue. We're going to move on to 4th grade because we're looking at that. So in the fall, we had only 23% of our 4th graders where they needed or at or above the norm. In the winter, we had 27%. A nice big area of growth. When we move on up into 5th grade, again, here's our fall score, 28%. In the winter, we had 31% of our students over here. So here's where we're seeing a big change. This is reading again. Here we had 27.3% in the fall. It's bumped up to 30%. Now that doesn't look like a big change, but that is a big change when you're looking at a number of students in there and a percentage when you're aggregating that across a big pool of students. 6th grade as well, or 7th grade as well. 30% were at or above in the fall, 35% at or above now. And we basically stayed the same in 8th grade, but still some powerful trends. So again, that's just comparing where they were in the fall to where they are in the winter, and we will continue to do that as we move forward with the data. This basically here is at or above norm RIT. I'm going to kind of go through this quickly so we can get to the actions that we've taken because there's a lot of data. One of the things that I can do too is I have an extensive presentation that Mrs. Scott will post on the website. So if someone wants additional information, it also captures our data analysis on Ames Web, which is a screener tool that we use. So it's a very comprehensive look. So I'm going to just pop past this right now. Actually, this is the one I want to get to. I'm sorry, I am going to talk about this. So one of our questions when we started to analyze data was, okay, let's look at this. We maybe didn't see the information we wanted, so let's start to think about the fact that we really put a lot in place. And if we're correct that our work is making an impact, that students that have been here from last year to this year are in general going to make a little bit more growth. So what I did was I disaggregated the data to talk about students that were new this year versus students that have been here for 2 years. And we see a lot of big differences. So the blue bar is students that were here basically last year because they entered before 16-17. The red bar is the students that entered this year. So if we look at that, our first graders, here we see the difference. So our students that were here last year, 26% of them were at or above the norm RIT. 20% of our students that were new. Now, that's not necessarily a negative, just shows that the impact of our curriculum work and our instructional work over time is having an impact. Second grade here, little bit of a difference here with second graders. We had 35% that were in the school district for 2 years meet versus our 44%, a little bit higher for students that met after they entered. Basically, in our third grade group, we have students before 26, there's our third graders, 26.6% of them that were here last year were at or above versus 13.8%. So there's another data point that really gives us some information about our third graders. Fourth grade here too. Fourth grade before, 25%. Third grade, or fourth grade after or new this year, 30%. Big difference in our fifth graders. These were our students, 34.3% of them last year that were here for 2 years were at or above versus 13.8% of our new students. So you can see that looking at that data, the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years is really making a difference for our students. And this is, that last slide was reading, this is winter, and again, basically we're seeing the same results, that in general, the students that were here in our district are making better progress or meeting their growth norms. So the impact of the interventions and focus on the highly effective instruction during the 2015-16 and 16-17 school year is having an impact on our students. And in general, students who attended Hazel Park last year were more likely to achieve the expected norm level than students who are new to the school district. So I just want to bring this slide to your attention because I know that the district adopted Illuminate Education last year. We are in a pilot year this year. I am currently working with a team of teachers from the junior high and from the high school to really try that out and really get a strong foundation so we have some people in place when we go full rollout that really can support that. And the reason I think it's important to do this is that if you reflect back to that first screen, we talked about having data and knowing how to access it and being able to analyze it is powerful. If teachers don't get data in a usable form, they don't have time. I mean, a teacher in a classroom, I was a teacher in a classroom for 28 plus years. You don't have time to get data in a format to make the decisions. You can make the decisions based on the data, but you need someone to get it in a format that makes sense, it's readable, and it's actionable. Illuminate Education is allowing us to do that. And basically what I was able to do, and this was in the hands, I know one administrator, Ms. Demas, used this a lot with her grade level teams, and I know that it was used at the junior high as well. So basically what I was able to do was take that tool, and I was able to pull in all of our Ames web data, and I was able to pull in all of our NWA data, and if I wanted to, I could have also pulled in our MSTEP data, or any data source we have. We're collecting data through our new curriculum units. We're collecting a lot of formative and summative assessment data. And we can start to say, okay, what is the data telling us? Because just like I talked about with those RIT scores, one score does not tell the picture. When you are looking at data, you need to have a comprehensive view of the data and really dig deep and ask those questions to really understand what is the student actually doing, what does the student need, and what is the action step that we need to take for that student at a grade level or as a school district. And that's what it's helping us do. I know there were some questions about that. I know you keep hearing about this Illuminate Education thing, but you don't really know what it does yet. Well, it's a really powerful tool that will help us look at data, get it in the hands of teachers, and ultimately students in the end, to really begin to reflect on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're going to move forward. So in conclusion, some of the current actions, I know I touched on these, is that we have a very strong tool called the problem-solving driver that's part of the Turnaround My Excel work. It is a common tool, common way of thinking, common way of handling and reflecting on data that grade level teams are using, building turnaround network teams are using, the district turnaround network teams are using. It is a systemic tool that's helping us understand how to look at data and do it in a positive, impactful manner. We are triangulating data. I'm going to tell you just a little bit of an aside now. I've been in education for 30 plus years, and much of that time I have been in roles that revolved around supporting teachers or administrators in understanding how to look at data and make good decisions. The work that's being done here in Hazel Park rivals, and I'm going to go out here and I am going to say rivals, and I would say in many instances exceeds the level of understanding with how to look at data and what we're doing with data on an ongoing basis any school district in Oakland County. Well, maybe not any, but most of them. And it really needs to be commended and celebrated. I know that this is hard work. We have a lot of conversations about it, but we need to step back and really think about that and really understand when you look at outside of the district what's going on, this work is amazing and it's positive and it's having impact on students, and it's really a testament to the board, the superintendency, and all the administrators and teachers who are willing to dig in and reflect and do the work that they need to do. So just some of the short-term pieces. We know we need to increase our interventions and our support in grades K1 and 3. We know that. The data showed it to us. I can tell you every single administrator, the day after they got this, was having conversations in their buildings. every single one, every single teacher, every single administrator. Long term, we need to focus on interventions and acceleration to increase achievement and growth norms. We know this is our goal. We want our kids to be up in that 99th percentile. We're not going to stop till they get there. Increase interventions and support in grades 3 through 8. We know K2 is building a strong foundation. Yeah, we saw some ups and downs. That's going to happen. We know we need to get into that grades 3 through 8. We need to expand, and we have done professional learning opportunities for using NWA reports, because teachers have this data at their fingertips, which is not normally what teachers have. So thank you to the board for allowing us to have NWA, for allowing us to have AIMSweb and tools like Illuminate, so it's at teachers' fingertips. And really continue reflection on the implementation of the new curriculum, which we will do at the end of the year, instructional frameworks, and highly ambitious teaching and learning. So that concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. So when you were talking earlier about growth goals, can you tell me how those are set? I don't know if I missed it or not. But.
So basically, when students take that assessment in the fall, those are set based on their performance and based on what a typical amount of growth would be to that next growth marker, which is winter for us.
Okay.
So that's basically how it is. So it's very individual. When parents get those student growth reports home, it's very individual based on that student's needs. And one of the things that some of the buildings are doing as well that really build on those growth goals is there is something called a student growth goal report, which students can look at their performance and start to reflect and set some goals for themselves. And that's another thing that's being utilized in the classrooms and with students.
Thank you. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure I know that my girls are both at the junior high, and they brought home their growth goals, so they knew what they were going for, and they were really excited when they did meet them, and I thought that was a good way to kind of reinforce.
And those are set statistically.
Yeah.
Right,
Like
okay.
yeah.
So that we don't set them, they're set statistically nationwide.
Like, what is the normal growth between the
Right.
fall and winter?
That's great. It's great data. It's good to see it like that.
Thank you. Thank you for the time to share this with you. I can't wait to come back in the spring.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Now we're going to get ready to go to public comment. Please know that each person will be given up to 3 minutes to address the board. And when you come up to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. And there is now at the podium our policy there. We do have 2 people who filled out slips. If anyone else wants to fill out a piece of paper, we have new little slips. I have Deborah LaFramboise. Like I said, just go ahead and state your name and address for the record. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Debbie LaFramboise, 117 Andreessen Court, Hazel Park. I just have a couple things. Last month I stated concerns. So this month I'd like to offer solutions or suggestions. One thing is I would like to see a code of conduct for athletes that's clear cut on paper that they have to sign, explaining the absentee policy with athletes and when they can play and when they can't play, what their grades need to be when you have to go to special. We used to have in the morning, I forgot what it's called, but they had to go and if you weren't at a certain grade point, you had to go and
Study table.
Thank you, study table. So something like that in place, because I think there's a little confusion between, I've heard from several different teams and several different students that play different sports, different things. So I'd like to see it in writing so everybody knows what it is.
With the you're saying what the expectations are?
Correct.
Okay.
Like a code of conduct expectations for athletes. And also, last year I came to Dr. Hoopy and I wanted ISS reinstated, and she said that was not an option at the time because of our financial difficulties. We're doing a little better. There's lots of studies that say that restorative justice, if it has no consequences, does not work. And I feel like for the most part, we have no consequences in our district. So I would like to see consequences put back in place. And if we can reinstate ISS at the high school and have our behaviorist run it with aid of some teachers now and then so the students can still work in ISS, but they can also get that restorative justice piece while they're there. There's a gentleman in Florida who does that very well. The kids have to sign a contract. They have to do community service. They have steps to meet before they can be reestablished into the classroom. I know a lot of teachers feel devalued when a student is sent out of the room and returns 10 minutes later because they talked to the behaviorist and now they just get to come back to class because they had a chat with the behaviorist. So I'd like to see a little bit stronger consequences for their actions. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we make sure that we follow up on her request?
Yes.
Particularly the code of conduct. I know I've seen it, but I'm not sure.
Well,
how
Mr.
specific it
Mylart
is.
has a draft code of conduct that he's been waiting to submit to the board, and we were waiting for the administrative procedures to be put in place. So that's already been submitted to me in draft form.
And no, I think she'll follow through.
The policy committee will be reviewing that for their input.
Fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Rob Perini. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Rob Perini. I live in 39327 Canterbury Drive, Harrison Township. My daughter is Natalie Perini, who goes to the high school. And as some of you already know, my wife is Karen, special ed teacher at the high school also. While it's true that this makes me somewhat biased toward the teachers, it gives me a unique perspective. Despite the challenges of the last few years, these teachers and the administration haven't quit on the district. There's an enormous amount of pride in their work and an incredible amount of talent packed into the 2.8 square miles that encompass Hazel Park. I'm an engineer at Ford Motor Company, and as I'm sure you know, business has been good. And there's a reason for that. We have smart people who really care about what they do. But intelligence alone, without the good leadership, wouldn't get us very far. I mean, I've been at Ford for almost 30 years. We had some down times, we had some good times. The leadership has a lot to do with that. And I couldn't be prouder of the leadership we have right now, which has a vision for the future. And I can see the same thing here in Hazel Park. Of course, our products are different. Ford makes cars, while a school educates young minds. Still, I'd like to give you a glimpse into the progress of a certain 2019 model year product that's in the works, my daughter Natalie. She wants to be a biochemist because she was so inspired by her science teacher, Scott Guthrie. My dad was a biochemist, so you can imagine how proud this made me. Todd Ross has given her a new appreciation for music, and her other teachers have helped guide her on her way to becoming a straight A student. When we got the diagnosis about Natalie's cancer, we had a lot of concerns. Children's Hospital took care of the medical aspect of her treatment, but she still had to go on with the rest of her life. And here, too, the support at Hazel Park has been tremendous. Cheryl Kelly always asks her how she's doing, and she actually cares about the answer. Janet Langtree homeschooled Natalie during the darker days of her chemo. Tina King has taken personal time to talk with her when she's needed it. Janice Scherter has been like a second mom to Natalie. And Eric has been like a second dad. Lucky you, Eric. I could have used you when they were in diapers. But we live in Harrison Township, and you might wonder why I send her to school here. I mean, L'Anse Creuse public schools are very highly regarded, at least on paper. But my daughter's not made of paper. And after her diagnosis, she used to come home from school crying every day, and I'm not exaggerating about that. Maybe the schools are too big and she got lost in the shuffle, or maybe the kids are a bunch of stuck-up jerks. Whatever the reason, this hasn't been a problem since she started attending school in Hazel Park. This is a real community, and in the truest sense of the word. The people are regular people, from her classmates all the way up to the administration. She rarely saw the principal at L'Anse Creuse Public Schools, but here she feels like her voice is heard by Mr. Daly. And I've been part of budget meetings at Ford for many years, and even with a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you have to make some hard choices, but it's nothing compared to what you've had to face here. That's why I'm so impressed with the leadership here. And with Dr. Krupe at the helm, I'm just blown away by how you've managed to reduce the deficit. And let's be honest, you probably would have been taken over by the state if it wasn't for her leadership. Like I said at the beginning, the teachers and the leadership have not quit on this district. They still believe in what they do and care deeply for the students. And I thought this really just needed to be said. I know we're focused a lot on the negatives. We focus on trying to fix those, and you have to do that, but let's just try to appreciate what we have here. I couldn't be happier to send my daughter to school here. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You're gonna make me cry. Thank you. Those were such heartfelt words, and I think that every one of us up here felt him. And you're right. We really do focus on the negative, and we forget what a great impact we are making. And this night has been overwhelming. We've really recognized a lot of great things that are going on, and constantly community members coming forward and giving us new ideas and solutions to think about. You know, we really are a family here, and thank you for saying that. Anyone else choosing to speak tonight? Okay. Public comment is closed. Moving on to our consent agenda. I would like to point out to the people in the audience and people watching at home, we are going through MAS board training, MASB board training, and you know, we might not do a good job with explaining kind of what we do up here. So our consent agenda every month is things that we do routine every month, like approve our meeting minutes, our committee minutes, our budget financials, things that just go on and we look over and we're just approving those. So when we approve items A through D, it's not that we're overlooking them, but they do occur like every month, like a water bill, you know, that occurs every month, we gotta pay it. So that's in our monthly financials. So, so moved, Mr. Hempel.
Support.
All right, roll call please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Adkins?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Flock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. All right, nothing under unfinished business. That will move us on to our items under new business. So we have personnel recommendations. This Board of Education is, as you know, since we are a community of family, we have family that work in various union organizations. So instead of doing this in one fell swoop, we have to separate it out by the unions. So you will hear some of our board members tonight abstaining, and that'll be due to their familial conflict. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. So we have our personnel recommendations for our HPASA union. That's our school administrators.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion or questions? Anything, Dr. Pupi?
I would just like to point out the retirement of just a fabulous administrator, Judy Del Banco, after many, many years of wonderful service. It'll be one of the first of many losses that we will have this year.
All right. Roll call, please.
Adkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Flock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. This is under our personnel recommendations for the HPEA union.
So moved.
Support.
Discussions. Dr. Krupe?
And again, it is the time when teachers give their retirement. There's a date in the contract, and we have several that I'm going to read of teachers that have given many, many years of service, far-reaching many of us inside the district. Just outstanding teachers that I think many of us were shocked but well-deserving. Kathleen Dickensheets, Dave Graham, Janet Langtree, Kathy Putman, Nancy Raffa, and Joanne Sweeney. Just wonderful teachers that I know have given many, many years. I hear wonderful comments about all of them that I know we'll all be sorry to lose for this upcoming school year.
Discussions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Adkins?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Flock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Moves us on to personnel recommendations for our HPPA union.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. Dr. Krupe?
We have another retirement here of Patty Kraft from United Oaks, who again has given many, many years of service that should be noted. And then we also have a paraprofessional, Tamara Jones, on leave for the remainder of the year that I want us all to keep very near and dear into our thoughts.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Adkins?
Yes.
Flock?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
I abstain due to conflict.
Mrs. Hempel?
Abstain.
No.
Abstain due to conflict. That's only 3. Because Mrs. Hammonds isn't here. Mr. Patterson, can that?
4.
Has to be 4. So we'll have to bring this to the next board meeting?
Yes.
Do we have to abstain, being
Yes.
that it doesn't, yeah?
Being that it doesn't affect anyone of our family. So we'll have to bring that maybe to a special meeting or our next board meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so motion fails on that one. We will see that come up when we have a full board. Moves us on to our personnel recommendations for our IUOE union.
So moved.
Support.
Dr. Kirby?
No comments at this time.
Okay. Any questions or discussion, board? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel, Yes. Schlack,
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Atkins,
Abstain due to conflict?
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
no.
Yes, motion passes. We have our last one for unaffiliated members.
So moved.
Support.
Questions or discussions? Dr. Kirby?
No comments.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Atkins,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
no.
Yes. All right. And if you've noticed, we've added 2 new people at the end of our table. These are our students. They actually asked to sit up here tonight. Very, very impressive. Thank you for joining us. We always need extra people up here with us. So we're going to hear from our high school student ambassador, DeCoriana Cooper.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm sure you're tired of hearing the same information, but...
No.
Okay, we're gonna start. May 11th is Decision Day, and during Decision Day, we recognize all the Hazel Park High School senior graduates and their accomplishments on their Viking voyage. May 12th is prom. The theme is rustic romance, and that'll be at Andiamo's. I forgot what location. And June 2nd is graduation, and later on that night is the senior all-nighter. Tickets are $50, and the theme is 80s. That's all I have for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board members have any questions for DeCoriana? Too late. She's already booked it. She sat back down. And then we'll hear from our Hazel Park Alternative High School student ambassador, Destiny Baldwin.
So, still at my school, our counselor, Jen, is helping all of the seniors with like scholarships and applying to colleges. And, I have good news. I already shared Dr. Kirby that I, have worked with her through this, and I have recently got accepted into OCC. So, I am housebound. So, that's, a big step, and, there have been others in our school that have been accepted to the same school. And then also our prom is in 2 weeks. It is April 28th, and I don't know the location, and there's no theme because we're that cool. We don't need a theme. Our state testing went pretty well. And then, our fourth quarter, our last quarter started today, so for a lot of our seniors, it was a really, kind of the first day, of the last, and it's kind of sad. And our peer mentors helped with an Easter egg hunt for the elementary side of the alternative schools, which I heard it turned out great. So, and Barb Wilson received a grant, and we will be doing a garden in the courtyard for the alternative elementary and alternative high school side.
Hey, that's great news.
And is that the courtyard here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's it. Any questions?
No. Great job. Thank you both for being here and sitting up here with us. Brings us to our Promise Zone update. I saw Miss Kayla Roney-Smith. There she is.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So first of all, as you know, the high school was awarded with the Cardinal Award from the Michigan College Access Network last month. So we were thrilled. Musa Traore, our college advisor, and Counselor Whitney Bernstein were also there in Lansing to accept the award. Mr. Daly was hoping to attend, but it was when there was a storm. So it took me a couple hours to get there, much longer than usual in the morning, and by the time school got out, Mr. Daly wasn't able to make it, so we were glad Brandy was able to come tonight and present it again. So as of today, Hazel Park High School seniors have been offered more than $1.9 million in scholarships.
Yeah.
So I told, this is, as far as I know, this is the most ever. Definitely the most ever in the 5 years I've been here. And as far as I know, the most ever before, because we've been ahead of the numbers that we had from the years leading up to that. I told Musa a couple months ago when we were at like 1.2 or 3 million that I was really hoping we could get to 2 million, and we're really, really close. So I'm hoping that we'll be there soon. Definitely feel confident at this point that we'll get there. So we also encourage all seniors to submit their financial aid award letters to College Advisor Musa Traore so that he is able to keep tracking those numbers as well as help them kind of decode them because they can be a little bit confusing. Those who do so by April 26th are eligible for $20 off a senior all-night party ticket. And so the funds to reimburse that are coming from a grant actually that the Michigan College Access Network granted to the high school. So we're excited about that. And that the first 50 students to do this and then buy tickets will be able to get that discount. So we were able to allocate $1,000. As DeCoriana shared with you, our 6th annual Decision Day will be held in early May. We're excited to honor students at this event for making the decision to continue their education in some way after high school. So whether it be through community college, four-year institution, trade or vocational program, or the military. So we actually have a team of students this year that are working with us to kind of plan this event, including DeCoriana and a few other seniors. So this is one thing I'm really excited about this year. We haven't had students directly involved in planning in the past. We've asked for input, but not in the committee format that's working out this year. So we're very excited about how that's going. And they have some great ideas. One thing that was requested at the last meeting was scholarship amounts for this school year. So from the Promise Zone. So the number from earlier is non-Promise Zone dollars, non-local scholarship dollars. Those are, so really actually after class day that we should definitely be over $2 million. But anyway, since August, the Promise Zone has provided about $74,000 in scholarships to 44 students at 2 community colleges, 5 state public universities, 4 private four-year institutions, and 1 trade school. This does not include all of our OCC scholarships for this year, as I feel like I'm always saying we end up getting billed from them later, so we'll be able to add those numbers in later. But that's since August, everything but a few OCC scholarships for this semester. Let's see. So thank you again to all of the people who support, it feels like a long time ago now, but everyone who attended or supported our Race to College fundraiser on March 4th. So it was extremely successful. We raised over $5,000, but we had a packed house. So we thought we had more people buy tickets at the door than any year in the past, which was exciting. We ended up having to pull extra chairs out, which was great. And now we're wondering, can we still keep it at the rec center next year? What are we going to do? So we will see. Last week, College Advisor Musa Traore and I worked with the high school administration and counselors to provide various opportunities to students who were not taking the state standardized tests. So we had several college visits, actually, Oakland Community College, Oakland University, and University of Michigan Dearborn. And so what was very cool about it is students from all grade levels were able to attend the college visit. So not the same ones, but this is, I believe, the first time we've been able to take 9th graders on college visits, which has been a goal for a while. Can we get them on college campuses each year throughout high school? We also took students, well, not I personally, but people also took students to UAW Chrysler to tour the center and get information about the School to Work program. As you know, next year will be our 2nd year with that partnership with Chrysler. We also brought in various speakers last Wednesday to speak on their careers for freshmen and seniors. So it was a career expo. We had 6 different sessions, presenters from different career fields, like I said, and each student attended every session. So they rotated around that side of the high school. They got to hear from some pretty interesting and accomplished professionals about their educational and career paths, and that was definitely valuable for students as well. It's not too late for students to complete their FAFSA, or Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Just as a reminder, it's required for Promise Zone scholarships, it's required for federal, state financial aid, pretty much any scholarship that a university or college will give. So it's very, very important that students complete those forms. They do need their parents' tax information to do that, and Mr. T or I can be helpful with that if they need assistance. And then lastly, two more things actually. As I've mentioned previously, we're still developing a database on Hazel Park alumni. So if anyone has information, any kind of contact information, we have a database at this point that is every single graduate of Hazel Park High School since like 1955. So now we're trying to fill in as much contact information as we can. So that is thanks to our wonderful intern, Nick Lemire, who many of you probably know, and Leon Lebrecq, whose firm LJPR sponsored our ability to have that intern. And then actually, lastly, Musa and I took a group of students in November to a Young Men of Color Summit at Cobo Hall, November 14th, and it was a great day of educational panels. There were companies interviewing for different jobs, and so some of our students are now going to have the opportunity for some post-summit work, as they're calling it, through the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. So there will be some different professional development and college prep sessions held over the summer. And our students who did attend that session, who I think there were about 20 of them, should be receiving information about that within the next week or two by early May. So we're very excited about that as well. Any questions?
I have one.
Mm-hmm.
Students that do decide to go into the military, are they
Yes.
still able to get it?
To get the
Promise Zone after they get out?
So they do, you only have 4 years to use your Promise Zone scholarship.
So
if
you
they,
use 4 years after you get out?
yeah, 4 years after graduation. But we can provide assistance to them in other ways, just advising and things. So there's actually a young man working at the high school right now who I know was in the military, and we've talked a little bit about how he can access resources, because the military has great educational benefits. And so when we are working with a student and he or she decides to enter the military, we try to make sure they're aware of that when they go in so that they can take full advantage.
All right, good.
Yeah, so I don't know if their enlistment's less than 4 years, so probably,
Right. No,
yeah,
no.
probably not Promise Zone directly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is on item D, our 2016-17 quarterly focus report for Hoover School.
Thank you. Well, as you know, on a quarterly basis, we bring forth to you, as required, just for informational purposes, our focus school report, which outlines the kind of things that you actually heard Stephanie talk a little bit about tonight, of the things that we're doing to support our ability to close the achievement gap at Hoover Elementary School. And these center around the literacy coaches, the extended day opportunities that you see within our Title I grant, as well as the interventions that we've been putting in place. You also see a lot of the work that you see that we have from the turnaround through our performance management that are indicated in here. We have to turn this in, as well as some of the data, which we can't put in the board packet, and upload that to the state. And they review this and approve this for us. And so I'm just asking for your review of this. Do you have any questions regarding this plan?
No, I would just, comment that, the amount of data and the ability to fill this out compared to what it looked like 2 years ago is pretty dramatically improved. I really feel like you at least have some actions, that it's really getting the focus. And we're continuing to tweak, to make sure we're closing those gaps there. So I just kind of wanted to give recognition that I could see how far we've come just in the last 2 years as we've been changing some of our things around.
Well, we're really proud of the work that our principals are doing in the turnaround, and you have to give a lot of credit to Mrs. Demas and Mrs. Skipper, who's been working very hard in the building.
Great job, ladies.
Yes, great job. Any other questions or comments? Okay. This is item E. We have the Hazel Park Memorial District Library approval of the library resolution. It's right here. What they're asking us to amend would be the name. The district library shall be known as the Hazel Park Memorial District Library, where the district library having all the powers granted to such district libraries by the Act. That is the only part of this resolution that we think we saw.
The whole thing for you.
Oh, she's here. Yay! Come forward. Explain this a lot better than me. Thank you, Dr. Griffey.
Yes, sorry.
Welcome, good evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm Corinne Steckler, I'm the library director, and the library board voted to change the name of the library to include the name memorial, the word memorial back in it. It did not pass the Library of Michigan the first time because of a procedural error, so I'm asking you to reconsider approving the name change. Basically, it's just strictly a name change.
Mr. Patterson, do I need to read this into the minutes or?
No.
No? Okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Support.
Any other questions?
Sounds good.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Hinton? Yes. Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
Nice to see you again. Yeah,
Moves us on to our Board of Education policy book that we are doing through Neola, Michigan. We have several policies up for their first readings, and a couple looks like revisions to our 5,000 student section. So let's start here. Item number 1, our policy 2000 program first reading.
So moved.
Support.
Can we just, so the public knows what policies those are?
These
The
are-
200 is?
Administrative guidelines says.
I describe what they are.
Yes, this is the program administrative guidelines. Anything that the policy committee would like to add?
No,
No.
I just think it, just so they know what policies we're approving.
Perfect. Any questions or comments, Dr. Krupe?
Now, there's a tremendous amount of policies that are sitting up and underneath here. They're more student-centered policies in 200.
Okay.
2,000.
2,000.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Ramsey. Or 200.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. This moves us on to number 2, our policy 7000. These are our property, includes some of our technology, anything the district has.
This technology policy.
So this is our first reading on this.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Then we have our first reading in our 8,000 operations policy. Dr. Kirby, did you want to elaborate?
That would be all of our operations for 8,000.
Okay.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
No.
Yes. And under item 4, under this policy 5,000 student section, we're going to have our first readings on A, B, and C. Under item A, it is section 5517.01. It's the bullying and other aggressive behavior towards student policy.
So moved.
Support.
Any questions or just comments, Dr.
It
Kirby?
is the updated version to begin in the fall for bullying.
Now, does that one, that has the Restorative Justice Act in it too, right?
It has restorative practices in it.
Act, yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Small part, yep.
Small.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Where can we find this? Where can we find the link?
It's up on the website, sweetheart. So if you go to the
Well,
website.
it's not up there yet, is it?
Yep.
In the board packet,
It's
too.
in the board packet on the website.
Oh, okay.
Click on the Board of Education link.
So really, the bullying practice talks about that the district may utilize restorative practices when you're repairing harm to the district, to the victim in the school community.
And these are the sorts of things that have been mandated by state law. It's just an incorporation and a reflection of some of the, state law has gotten into portions of what has been, I don't know, kind of controversially called restorative practices, but a lot of it is, taking into account things that you should be taking into account anyway. And the state has dictated some of these terms, and we've used them in the past without even knowing that's what it was. So bullying and suspensions have required that those things be included in the discussion. And suspensions is the next portion.
Yeah. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
No.
Yes. And then under item B, under the same policy, section 5000, we have section 5610, which is the emergency removal, suspension, and expulsion of non-disabled students.
So moved.
Support.
Comments? Discussion? No? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
No.
Yes. And then finally, 5610.01, expulsion suspensions required by statute.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion, comments? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Schlock?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
No.
Yes. And we do have our policy committee that's in that consent agenda. They meet monthly. As the state continues to change everything, they'll be looking at making those revisions and bringing those to the board, which is what we just saw. So item H is our enrollment update. Dr. Krupe?
We just have our enrollment dates update that's in here. It has not changed very much, but what can tell you now, it is open enrollment.
Yay.
And so it is time for you to let your friends know that might want to come to Hazel Park, that they can come and register for the 2017-18 school year.
Dr. Krupe, is there a link on our website?
There is a link on our website underneath enrollment, underneath parents.
Okay.
We'll also be sending stuff out shortly to families so that they can re-enroll as well.
Okay, great. Questions or comments about that board? Okay. All right, it moves us on to item I, our superintendent update. Dr. Krupe?
So we had our community engagement committee this week, and there was 4 of us that were there. There were a lot of other people that couldn't attend due to some other meetings that happened. Actually, it was last week, because this is Monday, so it couldn't be this week. It was last Thursday. Feels like a long week already. And so we're real excited. We have set a date for, I believe it was September 8th, for the hometown huddle. And so we've started gathering some information to get that up and going. We also had some conversation about some ideas to start setting up a couple more events for the upcoming school year next year. And so we hope in the next month or so that we will play around with some ideas about that. We hope we'll have some other people join us. We're looking for some ways to raise money for after-school programming for our students. And so there's potential of some, perhaps maybe some concerts and or some festivities around or on the fields around the high school, and or some ice cream socials or other events such as that, or some pasta cook-offs challenging those who have some great pastas against others who might have some great pastas as well. Instead of chili cook-offs and pasta cook-offs. And other events that would be fun and continue to build up the community. So we're looking forward to others that might like to join us for our community engagement.
Do you have a date?
The next date is, we will have it for you very quickly. I have some peers in the audience. May 11th is our next date at 6:30 in the boardroom. Please join us. Come one, come all to community engagement. We're really excited about the individuals that have said they will come and join us, so I think it'll be a big committee, and we're looking forward to adding at least 1, if not 2 more events to get our community involved. We also had our follow-up parent meetings for preventing bullying. We had one last week. I was pleased to be joined by administrative staff, board member Hinton and board member Chuck Hempel, and community rep Lisa Crouch Johnson. Secretary Nancy Anderson joined us as well. At that point in time, we went over some of the ideas that we will be implementing next year, such as the PBIS training, K through 12. We're really excited about the initiative through My Blissey through the grant. We also discussed the ruler training that we've been able to do through the Yale University, the training K through 8 that we have been doing. We also were able to discuss the Lions Quest that our Lions Club is supporting and the Leos Club that we will be looking to implement so that we will be able to have character education in place as well as some community service to our community. We did not have any parents from the community join us. We had the second meeting today, and Lisa Crouch Johnson and myself had a very delightful meeting in the boardroom today as we discussed the same thing. What we had hoped to do was to have those parents join us to discuss some other activities for the elementary, middle school, and high school that they might like to engage in those levels so that they could talk about a program or something that they'd like to do. We had a list of a lot of wonderful activities that our parents had come up with, such as some STAR students in the classroom that could wear shirts and be leaders for their teachers, and some other help along in the junior high that they could help perhaps monitor halls or in the lunchroom. So we had wanted to have some community engagement and some of the thoughts to give some good ideas of some ways that they could help us into that school environment. So perhaps in the fall again, we'll try it again and see if we can get some parents engaged in joining us to resolve some situations and concerns that they have within the school. Any questions about that? Thank you to those of you who came to support us last week and brainstorm together as a community.
Thank you, Dr. Krupe. Moving on to our board member and administration comments. Anybody would like to add anything?
Oh,
Yes, Mr. Hempel?
No, I was just going to say, I think it was very inspiring to see all of our
Winners.
athletes, students, smart kids that we have in our district. I think everybody should be very proud. I think we have an excellent staff in our district. And for the ones that are retiring, I wish they would reconsider. But they were here, they've been here a long time, and they are very good, but yeah, they're going to be missed, but I think that what we have, we still have a great team to work with, and I appreciate all of you. So.
Mr. Hempel?
no, just thank everyone for coming. Also, I feel sad that we have one of the retirees you did not mention, but unfortunately we won't be able to see her shiny face anymore here.
Judy.
Judy. Yes.
Oh, yes, Judy.
So I'm sorry to see her go the way she had to go. Thank you.
I have a couple things.
Yes, Dr. Krupe?
It's Secretary Appreciation next week, so we want to thank all of our administrative assistants that we have for the outstanding job that they do, because if we didn't have them,
Yeah, we know.
you're
we
welcome. You're welcome. 26th. You can check out the sign out front. It's already up there in the administrative center. Because we could not make it without them. They are the glue that keeps us together.
Yes.
And make sure that I make it to my meetings on time. Thank you very much, Debbie. You're fabulous. I also want to thank our local churches that were out here in our community last week doing our Easter egg
roll.
egg hunt. Spring egg hunt, because if not, I'm going to say egg roll. And
Or
we were
spring
thinking that we
roll.
were having chop suey. Corey had to correct me on that, but what a wonderful way to bring the spirit of community back into Hazel Park, and they had beautiful shirts on. Our children had a great time. I'm still looking forward to some more pictures. But a wonderful thing, and we're really looking forward to it, the adoption of each of our schools, and I'm really hoping that we get some of that tutoring and other programs going forth. That is the community spirit that we want to have, and I'm really, really grateful that we were able to have that. And again, I just want to thank the teachers of the school district, the custodians and the maintenance, my secretaries, but most of all the administration that, every single day we come here to save lives. And there is a lot of life-saving going on, so thank you.
Good presentation tonight for the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yes, Mrs. Hempel.
I'll someone out. Pastor Barry, thank you so much. You're set through all of our meetings, and you're like part of our school district. So if anybody says any different,
Yes.
you are. Thank you.
Yes, so our church is lifting us up. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And I love watching Pastor Barry through the presentations. He gets more excited than
He
we
does.
do sometimes.
Yeah, he really does.
like we see the data and we're like, yes, but he's like, yeah. So yes, thank you everyone for being here. I think we might actually finish before 9 o'clock. I do have one thing. The PTA Council is putting on the Celebrating Togetherness. So PTA Council in the Hazel Park School District would like to invite you in honoring our volunteers and celebrating the school district's retirees and special honorees. The PTA Council will give out a few awards during the dinner portion, and we will turn the festivities to over Dr. Amy Krupe to honor the retirees and special honorees. Tickets are being sold in each of the buildings, or you can contact our community rep, Lisa Crouch Johnson. Her phone number is here. It's 248-658-5209. It's going to be at the Hazel Park High School, May 10th at 6 p.m. And $10 is the cost of the ticket, which gets you massacholi, salad, desserts, and drinks, and hopefully maybe another comedy routine. Which wasn't very good. Yeah, which wasn't very good last year, but you know, we can work on it. So, with that being said, yes, I did everything Mrs. Hempel and Mr. Hempel and everyone said up here. It's spring, it's exciting time. We're about to go into graduation season, which is our favorite time of year, when we get to send our seedlings off into the real world. So, thank you all for being here, and motion for adjournment.
Oh, my.